I'm Joe Johnson, and this is Beatle Brunch, spotlighting Pepper on its anniversary, ours as well, beginning our 23rd year. Now it's time to welcome Tim Piper once again.
You know, Joe, it's really nice being here on Beatle Brunch.
Tim, tell us your memory of first hearing about Sgt. Pepper.
I remember I had a crazy neighbor, Pete, that was going on and on about, you gotta hear the Beatles' new album. I mean, they're singing about rocking horse people and marshmallow pies. Well, that's all I needed to hear. I got my copy at Sears and Roebuck's.
And Paul had been to America when he came up with the idea, he said, but there's more, right?
On the plane trip home to London with Mal Evans by his side, Paul's talking about how in America, you know, the bands are having these extra long names. And Paul's looking at the Salt and Pepper and he says, Sgt. Pepper. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. And what a perfect way to develop these alter egos whereby, being tired of the mop-top images, they could now approach the songs in a different way, not as John or Paul, George or Ringo, but as anybody, somebody else. And here comes the Summer of Love, where everything like in The Wizard of Oz goes from black and white to color. And one of their new characters, the actor you've known for all these years, comes in the form of Ringo as Mr. Billy Shears. What would you think if I sang out of tune? Would you stand up and walk out on me? No, I get by with a little help from my friends.
And give us more insight about John with Julian's painting.
John's son Julian comes home with this picture. John says, well, what's that, Julian? He says, that's Lucy in the sky with diamonds, Daddy. That's all John needed. Picture yourself in a boat on a river with tangerine trees and marmalade skies.
What about George's contributions?
And of course, George, being heavily influenced by his Indian music, wanted to bring it into the Beatles. So his offering was Within You, Without You. We were talking about the love between a soul and the people who hide themselves behind a wall of illusion, never glimpse the truth. Are you one of them? And of course, as they were starting to write more individually, John and Paul both had unfinished songs, and when they pieced them together, became one of the masterpieces of all times that was to close out the Sgt. Pepper album, A Day in the Life. Here's their contributions. I read the news today, oh boy, about a lucky man who made the grade. And Paul's unfinished song just happens to be the perfect match piece to make this song a classic. I woke up, fell out of bed, I dragged a comb across my head, found my way upstairs and drank a cup, and looking up, I noticed I was late.
Ah, great.
And all of this done on 4-track machines, way ahead of their time.
Tim, thank you so much. Great having you on this anniversary Beatle Brunch today.
Thanks again, Joe. My pleasure.
Catch up with Tim at timpipermusic.com. And coming up, I'll tell you where you can see Tim live in L.A. Special thanks to my guest, Mickey Dolenz, and his album Remember. And thanks to Tim Piper as well.
And by the way, if anyone's in the Los Angeles area this August 2014, still the 50th anniversary of the Beatles coming to America, Just Imagine has a special engagement at the West Valley Playhouse. Look it up on either timpipermusic.com or justimaginetheshow.com. Thanks again, Joe. Hope to see you soon.
Brought to you by the Beatle Brunch Club. It's the place where Beatle fans get together to listen to the show on demand, with deluxe tracks not broadcast. Plus, go back in time and hear old brown shows, Beatle Brunches from 20 years ago today and before. Join up for just pennies a day at brunchradio.com.